everyone. Welcome to the preview segment of the Three Quarters podcast, your official podcast for the 2018 Rugby Africa Gold Cup. Also remember to jump onto the hashtag Road to Japan to support your team as they look to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2019 in Japan. I'm Demima Duffield.
And I'm Ngara Kamuya.
So match day 6 is upon us. And that brings us Kenya versus Tunisia and Uganda versus Morocco. So for Kenya versus Tunisia, we've seen the Kenyans win all their games so far. Some not as convincing as others, and they've tried, very many combinations, especially in the back line. But we also know that the Kenyans are training with the British Army up in Nanyuki, preparing for the rest of their games in the Rugby Africa Gold Cup, which I think means, shows everyone that their intent and, the fact that they know what's been happening and, they want to get even better. We've also seen the Kenyans call up 7 superstars, Andrew Omonde and William Baka, which again shows their intent in the remainder of the games. On the other hand, we have Tunisia, who played their first game against Namibia, lost 118-0, played the second game against Zimbabwe, managed to win that just in the last minute, 18-14, and then played against Uganda, where they lost that game just the other weekend, 67-12. Now, I feel like if we see the Tunisia that we saw against Zimbabwe playing all the way till the 80th minute, then they'll have a better chance against Kenya. However, if we see the Tunisia that started the tournament, they have no chance against this Kenyan team that we're seeing right now. And if we see the Tunisia that gave up maybe quarter way through the game against Uganda, they'll definitely have no chance against Kenya. But what do you think?
I think the difference in this game is going to be the conditioning levels of the team. While Kenya in last year's Gold Cup were not as conditioned as they are this year, they still managed to beat Tunisia 110 in Nairobi. That's going to be a benchmark if we see the Tunisia that played against Namibia and the Tunisia that played against Uganda. The Kenyan guys, as you said, we have been reading and seeing on social media that they were training with the British Army 2 hours away from Nairobi, and just purely a conditioning set. That's what they've been working on. And Tunisia's biggest problem, if you ask me,
is their conditioning.
The Kenyans were already fit getting into this competition. You can imagine to what levels they've got into right now. And with the addition, in my opinion, with the addition of Andrew Omonde and William Baka, who have been conditioned, and they're very conditioned players, and they're superstars, and they, in their own right in the sevens game, and you can only imagine how serious it's going to be for Tunisia. I think, of course, what Kenya need to do, the first thing that Kenya need to do if they want to win this game convincingly, is that Kenya need to settle on a squad. Kenya's biggest problem, if you ask me, in this Gold Cup this year, has been the lack of a permanent squad. And you're having combinations that don't really add up. For example, we've seen fullback/winger Darwin Mukidza being moved to inside center.
We've seen him play at 10 even.
We've seen him play at 10 versus Morocco. So I think the coaching staff of Kenya need to sit down and realize, okay, fine, this is what we're going to be rolling with, and especially to deal with the back line. To deal with the back line. That's Kenya's biggest issue. Kenya's biggest issue is not in anything else, but more to do with selection. That's what I think they need to work on. Tunisia, it's too late now to try and work on conditioning. That's something that they should have done before the tournament. We understand, and it's understandable that they were unable to get into camp before the tournament because of Ramadan. But it's something that they should have been working on. This team should have been assembled away some while back to get them into the shape that they needed to perform at this high level. So for the Kenyans, I expect to see some athleticism. I expect to see a more settled squad that the coaching team is going to choose. And if that happens, then it's going to be problems for Tunisia. But Tunisia can be able to counter this if they slow down the ball, if they dominate the scrummaging, and they have a heavier set of forwards. If they dominate the scrummaging, if they're able to slow down the ball at the breakdown, if they're able to rush onto Kenya's attack, then they'll be able to curb the Kenyans. But unless that happens, it's going to be a long day for Tunisia. And I like you said, I would want to see the Tunisia that played against Zimbabwe, a team that's going to push against until the last 80 minutes. What we've seen in this tournament so far has been that Kenya slumps in the first 20 minutes, and then they kill the game in the last 20 minutes. So first 20 minutes of the second half. They start a high tempo. First 20 minutes of the second half, they slump. The last 20 minutes, they pick up. That's what happened against Zim. That's what happened against Uganda, that's what happened against Morocco. So Tunisia should be looking at that. They should be looking at Kenya's weak points. If the Kenya's technical team go ahead with these selection problems, then they should be looking at weak points. They should be saying, okay, for example, in my opinion, I feel like Darwin Mukitsa has a problem tackling at number 12. Then that becomes your channel. That's what Tunisia should be thinking about. I hope they're watching tape. I hope they're watching this so that then we are able to have a very competitive game in Nairobi. That's my opinion.
Yep, definitely want to see a more competitive Tunisia, because I mean a competitive Tunisia means a more competitive tournament, and that's good for everyone.
Yes,
that means the game is growing. That means it's not a boring game. It's not a boring tournament. I'd like to see the Tunisia that played against Zimbabwe, but that's all up to them.
Yes,
that is definitely all up to them, because when you give the Kenyans a chance, or you give them an inch, they take a mile.
Yes.
So they definitely need to be up to par on conditioning. We've said is sort of out of the window right now.
Yeah.
But just the technicalities, small technical things, looking at weaknesses in the Kenyan team will help Tunisia. But yeah, that's how we think that game will go.
And just to add, for whatever it's worth, in this 1 week they need to work on their defensive patterns, because if they have a case against like what we saw against Uganda, then Kenya are going to punish them with their backs.
Yep.
They're going to run circles around them, so they need to work on the defensive line.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So looking at the next game, Uganda versus Morocco.
Yeah.
So Uganda played against Namibia, lost 55-6, played against Kenya, lost 35-22, finally grinded out a win against Tunisia, winning 67-12.
Yeah.
Then we had Morocco, who played against Zimbabwe first, drew that game 23-23, and then played against Kenya, where they lost that game 24-28.
Yeah.
And then played against Namibia, where they lost 63-7.
Yeah.
So we've seen Uganda get better in the tournament, also with their players coming back, their sevens players rather, coming back into the game. We're seeing Uganda look a lot stronger. I mean, the game against Kenya is not the same, like we didn't see the same Uganda that we saw in the game against Tunisia.
Yes.
Definitely looking stronger, more confident. You can see it in their running. That electric backline you've been talking about, we are now beginning to see. I was very excited watching that game.
Yeah.
With Morocco, however, they started off actually pretty okay. Against Zimbabwe, we didn't expect a draw. We expected them to lose, to be honest. So very well done to them. And then against Kenya, I mean, that was a tight game.
Yeah.
Against Namibia, however, I mean, Namibia being dominant in the whole tournament, they lost that game pretty badly. But I feel like they'll give Uganda a run for their money, definitely. Uganda's got, we've said they've got a very electric backline, but Morocco rather, have a few tricks up their sleeve with their backline as well.
That's true. Uganda better be warned. It's not going to be easy.
Yep.
Despite the fact that they're playing at home, it's not going to be easy. These guys have gone to Harare. They've gotten a result in Harare against a formidable Zimbabwe team. So Uganda, better be warned that it's not going to come easy. They're going to have to work for this result. Where do I think the game is going to be won? If the Ugandans are going to win this game, then they need, of course, their backline. They need to bring in their boys in. They need to bring in their big guns. Those are the guys who I think are going to deliver it for Uganda. But on the other hand, like you've said, we expected Morocco to play a tight game. We've seen instances in which they've played a very expansive game. And my man there at number 10, Himdon Shaqiri, he's been doing some good work. He's been getting his line involved at from number 10. He's been getting his back line involved a lot, and it's been very entertaining to watch Morocco. So if I'm Morocco, they have a strong scrum, they have a strong lineout. So use the opportunities at the lineout and at the scrum. But more importantly, try slow the ball down on Uganda's side. Don't let Uganda get into the game. If Ivan Magomo is back from his suspension, when that ball leaves Aaron Ofoero's hands to Ivan Magomo, your backline needs to be on their faces. You need to press, because if you give them space, then it's going to be a problem. But if you close them down, then they're unable to get into the game, frustrate Magomo, then he's unable to get in the rest of the guys. And we know if Magomo is shut down, then even Philip Okorach has a problem coming into the game. Yeah. So you shut them down, slow down their ball, and I think then you'll have a legitimate chance at beating Uganda in Kampala. But all in all, I think it's going to be a very interesting game. It's evenly matched. Just the Ugandans should not think that it's going to be easy. Despite the fact that these guys were promoted this year or last year to the Gold Cup, it's not going to be easy, I can assure you. You can ask the Zimbabweans, you can ask the Kenyans. It's not going to be easy. So it's going to be an entertaining game. I mean, like, I hope I was in Kampala. That would have been a game I would have loved to watch, because it's going to be a mixture of a lot of stuff. It's going to be forward play from Morocco, and we've seen that they can be expansive. I'd like to see the Uganda pack do a bit more. You know, the Asuman Mogeroas, I'd love to see them do a bit more in the forwards. But it is not going to be easy for Uganda. That's all I can say.
One thing that you just reminded me by saying, you know, that Morocco should use their forwards to slow down the ball, is the fact that remember, Morocco are very good with their rugby IQ is on a whole other level, which we've seen throughout the tournament. Now, if they use their forwards, which I'm hoping they will, we have seen the Ugandan forwards be a little the discipline has been, you know, a little shaky. So use your forwards. Get the yellows. Get the yellows. I'm very serious. Get the yellows. Get them, you know, down to 14 men, down to 13 men, and
get the penalties, because you have a very good kicker, and you have two options. Either you have him and Shaqiri going for points, or you have him going for touch. And at touch, of course, when the lineout comes into play, we know who's going to be on top of the lineout. So, like you said, their rugby IQ is it's amazing. We didn't expect it, maybe because we haven't watched them play, but it's amazing at how Morocco understand the basics of rugby. And if they can capitalize on that, I think they can be able to grind it up in Kampala. But as I've said, all in all, this is the game to watch. This is going to be a very entertaining game.
That having been said, good luck to all teams. Also remember, guys can watch this on Kwese Free Sports. That is on Facebook and also on YouTube. So you have no reason to miss out on the games. Just because you can't travel doesn't mean you can't watch.
That's true.
Also, you can follow us, guys, on Instagram. You can like our page on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Dimira Duffield.
And I'm Naro Kamuya.
See you after the games for the review.